Welcome to Postcards from Palisade, where we hear from the people who are shaping our slice of Western Colorado. I'm Lisa McNamara. It's hard to believe, but March marks the 1-year anniversary of the Postcards from Palisade podcast. A year and a half ago, I had an idea to make a podcast about Palisade, my new hometown, to learn all about the place by talking with fellow Palisade residents and sharing what I heard. I hoped it would help me grow my own community, and as a side benefit, help others expand their communities too. It took me more than 6 months to get up the courage to actually get started. 6 months of fighting that silly little voice in my head that was telling me that I didn't have the right equipment, or enough connections, or a decent recording spot, or the right to even think I could do something like this. But then one day I woke up, and I decided to go for it. And I haven't looked back since. And now it's been a whole year. So I just wanted to take a moment to pause and say, thank you so much for listening. I'm so glad that you all are along for the adventure. While this has been a ton of fun for me, I'm not sure I would have kept up with it if I didn't hear that it's been fun for you too. When I hear things from you, like that my podcast with Christine inspired someone who hadn't gone to yoga in years to try a class again, or that you learned something you didn't know, or a business owner had someone mention they came in because of what they heard on an episode, or that those of you who are not physically in Palisade, but whose hearts are here, appreciate the updates on what's happening in town, the essence of what a postcard is, right? Well, this is why I'm here. If I get to connect people while having a good excuse to be nosy and ask all the questions that are running through my head at all times, I'm calling that a win. On this occasion, I thought it would be fun to listen back to past guests' favorite things about Palisade. Here are a few of my favorites. From Danny of Paddleboard Adventure Company in episode 2.
It's fun to go to certain places and just see people from certain walks of life around town. Just to strike up a conversation. They say as you're shopping or you're out and about, don't plan to, what you think might be a 20-minute stop to the grocery store is going to be probably 45 to an hour because you're going to talk to people. So that's just a mindset that back in Steamboat years ago, that's kind of what it was, and I miss that. Steamboat's just such a hustle, bustle, and busy. You see people, but everyone's in such a rush now. Here, everyone's still the slow pace. Anywhere you go, you're going to run into somebody that you know or kind of know, but they're so friendly, they're going to talk to you. It's like, hey, aren't you that guy? Or how do I know you? So I just love the community aspect of just the closeness, and everyone's in it. We're all in it together.
From Cassidy of Cave in episode 3.
It's very friendly and it's very tight-knit. We just had an amazing event happen, I think, just last weekend called Sing Up the Sun. That was kind of a homage or welcome to the equinox. And it was all just put on by a community member that just wanted to see a new event happen this time of year, which is a bit slower for us. We've not hit spring, early spring, summer festivals. Farmers Market's not up yet. Our Honeybee Festival's not here yet. And to see, I think the first one was last year, but to watch that event take off, and it's all community-led and volunteer-driven, and people came out with poems and dancing and costumes and puppets. I was like, this is amazing. And this was all just a small community put together.
From Nellie of La Plaza in episode 4.
I am in love with the valley. Every time people ask me, would you go live somewhere? I say no. And it's, I come from Mexico City, a huge city. Huge city. And when people tell me, you don't want to go back to a huge city, I say no. I've been here for such a long time. And it really took me long to be able to say, this is my home. This is my home too. It took me a long time to feel welcome, to feel part of the community. And I don't want that to happen to other people. That's what I do. That's the reason why I do everything that I do. I don't want the same feeling to go to our new people because I know what my family and I went through. And I think that's why it was. I think it's so hard to think of another change again. to say, oh, no, I'm going to go to another place. It's not like language. When you learn a second language, you are able to learn many more. It doesn't work like that. It's different. But also because I miss the mountains. Every time I get to travel, even though I've been to such beautiful places, I miss the mountains. You know, those beautiful skies when the sun is going down and you see the orange and you see the teal and the sky and the white and all of those beautiful colors. You don't see that any other place.
From Lisa, aka Moose, of Dancing in My Head Photography, from episode 7.
I love it. I really like it. It's a very warm community. I mean, I'm, city girl, so I have great stories now. Our neighbors used to have pigs that got loose. Matt and I have chased loose pigs, like 3 times, I think. And I just like these stories that I get to say, these words coming out of my mouth. Like, there were pigs rolling around on our pool cover once. Oh, no. And they were over 200 pounds. And they're during the season, the pool cover collects rainwater and stuff. And the pigs got out, and I'm looking out this window, and there's just a pig rolling around. And I'm like, and Matt's like, I call Matt, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Right. Luckily, the pool covers can hold up a lot of weight. I mean, I've stood on it before. It's like a waterbed almost. But I was like, Matt, what do we do? The pig's on the pole. And there's 2 others looking at it, So Matt comes out, and I'm like, and the photographer in me is like, I have to record this. So Matt goes out, and he's herding them away from the pool, and I have it on video. Sorry, this is a podcast and you can't see it, but it's amazing. A really funny video.
I can visualize, when you're chasing them, you're trying to grab the pig.
Well, they were so big. So one time they got little babies that they thought this was the 3rd time we had to chase the pigs. They thought they had secured but they were so tiny that the little pigs got out, and those were the only pigs you could actually pick up and carry. Of course, I have pictures of that too. But the other ones, the ones that were on our pool cup, there was no picking those guys. They ended up being over 250 pounds. So what we had to do was everybody had to grab something, a stick, a rake, our pool skimmer, whatever it was, and you have to you need at least 4 people to corner them off and kind of run them back to the pen. And luckily, one time when they got out, some guy was just driving down the highway, and he pulled over, and his dog was a herder. And because the neighbors weren't home, so it was just me and Matt, and we're trying to get these giant pigs, and and this guy comes out, and finally neighbors get home or their friends come over, and so the herder dog saved the day. So wrangling pigs, that's another thing I love about Palisade. I get to tell stories like that, Mom, I wrangled pigs today,
From Christine, of Christine More Yoga, in episode 8.
I love being in a small community. For instance, when I had COVID, I had little gifts of food left at my door. I know all my neighbors. I feel this real welcoming presence in all of that that's so different. I lived in a townhouse in Boulder, the last one I lived in for 20 years, and I didn't know my neighbors the way I know them here. I like how accessible it is to hiking and different, it's just beautiful to be out in nature here. And so I love that about Palisade. And I feel like it keeps growing and changing, and it's just fun to be in a small town.
And Wendy, the Western Slope Poet Laureate, in episode 13.
Yeah, Palisade is interesting. So the way I describe Palisade is, obviously we're ag, but we're also very art, which is a really interesting mix. So whatever Palisade does, they want to do it well. So if they're going to do a peach, they're going to make the best damn peach you've ever had. If they're going to grow marijuana, they're going to grow the best pot. If they're going to make art, they're going to make good art. And so Palisade has an interest in excellence. And this to me is pretty awesome.
Laura, from Mesa Park Fruit Company, in episode 14.
It's special, and there's camaraderie with the local residents it's just something cool. And I think when you're farming, I read this quote a while ago, and it was something to the effect of like a small farming town like rides these waves together, right? The highs and the lows, because it's very rare that like we'll freeze and our neighbor doesn't, right? So like we're all in this together to some extent. It was really crazy earlier this year. It was end of April, 25th, 26th, 27th, something like that, when we had those freezes. And we have a wind machine over at my dad's property. And so Brandon was up like running that, and then the sprinklers were going in the cherry orchard, and I promise you, C Road right there was busier at 3 a.m. than it is during the day. And it was, even though no one was happy about being up doing what they were doing, it was sort of like, Brandon was like, it was like this cool thing. Like, we are all in this together. We're all out here like trying to do everything that we can to save our crop this year.
Scott and Jessica of Field to Fork Organic Farm in episode 15.
Trains and the peaches.
Oh, the train. No.
I'm like, what?
Everybody does really like the train, actually.
I haven't. Up until this incident, I really never ever was frightened by it, or
no,
ever.
it's kind of like this part of American history.
It's just the quaintness of the community too. I feel that like we'll always kind of hear about our son and his day out in the general public, and the big thing is that over 3/4 of all the ski resorts in the area are like 2 hours away.
But that's not in Palisade.
No, but where Palisade lays.
But also,
really cool.
I think like the best thing about Palisade as a farmer and a grower is the microclimate that we have
it's
here.
ridiculous. It's pretty kind.
And finally, from Hillary of Mafia Princess Wine in episode 18.
I love the community, and I still do. The people, the farmers, there's just this whole like culture around agriculture that I just think is amazing. Agricultural people, no matter what they're growing, the culture is still the same. And so coming here and like being part of this farming community, it was like instantly like home. And I love that, and I love the cooperation between, the majority of wineries want to help each other and are, into that. The ship rises with the tide, all ships rise with the tide, and like helping out everyone. And there's some outliers, but of course that's in any industry, but it's like, I bought some fruit this year from Whitewater Hill. We got some muscat because our muscat, like we already sold out of it because it was so popular. Wow. And we don't grow very much of it. So they had some extra, so I was like, yeah, I'll take it. And then Chloe, their winemaker, a day after we got the fruit, she called and she's like, hey, like, just want to make sure everything like went well. The Talbots got you the fruit okay, because they were the ones delivering it, and processing and everything went good. I was like, well, actually, we blew the bladder in our press while we were processing. And she was like, well, just bring the fruit over here. We're going to finish up pressing our Moscato. Couple hours, just bring the fruit over here and we'll help you press it. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, please, like, thank you. Went over, it was her equipment, so she had to, but she helped press it, helped clean everything, stayed late, I'm sure, to help me out. And then even the next week, she like checked in and she was like, hey, were you able to get a replacement for your bladder, for your press? It's just like that community. And even like we still needed to bottle the last of our red, and again, like having issues getting glass. And so I was like, hey, you guys have some extra bottles? And they're like, oh yeah, just like when you get your glass in, replace it. And picked up 60 cases of glass so I could bottle glass. It's that kind of neighbor teamwork, in one sense for competition, but I always view it as like a friendly competition.
I'm looking forward to sharing another year of stories with you all. This is always a great season to start new things, and we have a bunch of new businesses to support in Palisade this year. New things to learn and new people to meet. As spring rolls its warm blanket across the valley, as buds swell and burst and pollen tickles the nose, as birds chatter amongst themselves and the sun reminds us of more warmth to come, as the days get longer and traffic picks up, and we start to look forward to or dread the events of the season, take this opportunity to do that thing that you've been wanting to do. So what else is next? You may have noticed that this episode didn't start with any music. One of the things I'm looking forward to in the episodes to come is the new tune that will kick off each episode. I wanted to play it for you all by itself for its debut. Local bike shop staple and musician Jeff Roper has created this amazing tune for the podcast. It's inspired by the sounds of daily life in Palisade, so familiar to us all, and part of the background of most episodes, since I record at people's houses or businesses, or in my own echoey rooms, instead of in a professional environment. Of course, when you ask a musician to make a song for you, nothing is going to be accidental. In this tune, the sounds are intentional, but they are instantly familiar. Enjoy. Thanks as always for listening. Here's to another year of community, stories, and fun. With love from Palisade. As their favorite parts about Palisade, as their noisy.